Oh, St. Mark, and welcome to the second of our three messages. As I told you last week, I wanted to be able to have a way of bringing closure to my ministry with you and to my ministry as a whole as a United Methodist pastor, and that this seems to be the best way that we can do that. So today, I want to recognize that the year 2020 is the 55th anniversary of St. Mark. It started in 1965, and during those years, St. Mark has continued to grow and develop and change over time. And I was just curious, what would you consider to be the best time of St. Mark's life and ministry? Was it the 60s and 70s when the church was really just getting started and young and vibrant? Was it during the 80s when the sanctuary was built and this beautiful place of worship just attracted so many people? Was it the 90s when the Family Life Center was built and so much recreation and activity was happening within that building? Or has it been over the years since the 2000s, over the last 2 decades, that you have felt like that was the best time of St. Mark's ministry? Well, what I want to share with you today is that no matter which time frame you believe was St. Mark's best, that time frame is over. You'll never be able to go back to it. And I know that in some ways sounds hard, but the fact is that if we don't come to terms with the fact that we cannot go backwards, that we cannot go back and pick up a previous time in history, then we're going to miss something incredible of God. For St. Mark, we have to look ahead. There's no question about it. Right now, I'm sitting in our sanctuary, and our sanctuary is going to look quite different when you return on June the 7th. For those of you who feel that pull and that need to be in worship in person, you will be glad to be back. I know that I will be, but it's going to look so different. There are no hymnals in the back of the pews. There are no pew Bibles. There's no prayer requests. There are no offering envelopes or attendance pads. There are no prayer shawls or just shawls to wear during Sunday morning. So if you have a tendency to be cold in the worship service, bring something with you. Also, you will see a screen set up in the sanctuary, and there will be temporary projection of words of hymns and scripture readings, and it's going to look so different. But the fact is that we're literally starting with a blank slate. We're starting all over again. We don't have to recreate the building, but we do have to rethink how we're going to do worship. Traditional worship is important to so many people, and we want to continue that, but we want to do it in ways that will be exciting, in ways that will meet the needs of people, just like the continued live streaming of our worship services beginning on June the 7th. That everything that we do at the 11 o'clock service will be live streamed over Facebook, and that people will be able to attend worship that way. So if you don't feel comfortable coming back to the sanctuary, if it's not the right time for you, you still can worship with us online. But this has got to be a critical time of thinking. It's got to be a deep sense of prayer and a season of prayer of how we're going to face the future. The greatest temptation that we have when we open the doors on June 7th is that all of our innovation and creativity will stop. That we think that we can just go back to the way things were, we can just pick up with where we left off, and it's not going to be possible. It's going to be different. Just how we interact with one another is going to be different. The building is going to be different in the way that we even just move through it. We have to continue the creativity and the innovation of worship. And this includes the contemporary service as well. that we have got to grow and build up the contemporary service. But it may not be in the normal way of what we think. That by developing an online presence, by developing a two-dimensional worship service for a two-dimensional platform is critical for us and for our future. And we're so fortunate to have Greg and to have volunteers who are so in tune with this, and that they will be able to help us to move forward. And so I just want you to think, this is going to be different. Please don't come to church thinking we can just pick up where we left off, because we can't. I want to just encourage you to think about how we can continue to be creative. How can we continue to seek out what God would have us to be and to do? Who are the people around us that have incredible gifts that maybe we've never tapped into before, that have a real passion and desire to serve in a new way? So when you come back to church on June the 7th, it's going to be different. It's going to be wonderful. We're going to be able to worship God. We're going to be able to be together. Even though we'll still be practicing social distancing, we can still worship. But we cannot lose this opportunity, this incredible gift that God has given to us, that in the midst of this pandemic, in the midst of everything changing, that if we want to go back to the way things were, we're going to miss the incredible blessings of God. So as we plan for the transition, as I am preparing to retire, as Bo is preparing to move in and become senior pastor at St. Mark, be thinking about the future. Be thinking of great and incredible, wonderful ways that we can do ministry, that we can worship. Yes, we still do traditional worship, but do it in creative ways. Do the contemporary worship. Do it in creative ways. Do the missions. Do the food pantry. Do Sunday school. Do it all, but do it in new ways. God says to the prophet Isaiah, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it?" So let us spend time now in preparation for our return to church, asking God, what is the new thing that you want to do with us? Thank you, and God bless you as we continue to look to the future and all the good things that God has for us.